Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Haley and you're watching Between the Pages. I have a book review for you today and we are reviewing book 3 in the Beast of the Briar series, and that is Forged by Malice. This is Ezran's book. He is the Spring Prince, so this is probably going to be another long one, just like Woven by Gold was, so buckle in. This was my least favorite in the series. I don't know why. I just was not feeling it. I think it took me, about 250 to 300 pages to like finally get on board with it. And I think I have finally figured out why. And that is because by the time we get to this book, the princes are very separated. So like Keldarian's in the winter realm doing whatever. Ezran is in the spring realm. Farron is in the autumn realm, and Rosalina and Dayton are at Castle Tree. So all of the princes are separated basically from each other. And it took me forever to realize why I was not feeling this book. And that's because the first book and the second book, yes, there are one-on-one scenes with the princes where they're by themselves or they're like exclusively with Rosalina, but in this book, like, they are so separated. Like, we are jumping back and forth between realms and princes, and it was very off-putting for me because I like it when we have all the princes together in the same realm, setting, whatever. So it took me a while to feel this book, but I am reading Broken by Daylight. It is about the same, where our princes and Rosalina are pretty separated, but I'm used to it by now. So if that's the direction we're going with the rest of the series, then I'm okay. It was just very jarring going from Woven by Gold to this one. So with that extremely long intro, we're gonna fangirl now. So there's a thing called wild courtship, and it happens when you have not consummated or like completed your mating bond with your mate. And I was like, that sounds a lot like a mating frenzy to me. I think I have something later in my notes about the wild courtship and mating frenzies and like things like that. But right now she is in a wild courtship with Keldarian because she has not completed her mating bond with him because he's still being a stubborn asshole. I don't know when they complete their mating bond. I'm hoping in the 5th book, which comes out April 21st. So about a month from now. And there's also a prophecy now, like a chosen one prophecy about things. I don't remember like what the prophecy is or if it is even mentioned, but there is a prophecy mentioned, and I was like, okay, of course there's a prophecy. So when Dayton wrote, almost called her Rosalina, Astrid and Marigold go to the Spring Realm to be like, we gotta go get Ezran, something's going on in the Spring Realm, we gotta go help him. Like, at some point, like, Dayton is arguing with the guards, being like, I'm the Summer Prince, don't you know who I am? Like, I request an audience with High Prince Ezran and his father, Thalionor. And the guards are like, dude, we can't let you in. Like, we've been under, like, strict protocol to not let anybody in if they're not supposed to be there. And so you hear the guards kind of like hitting on Rosalina, and Ezran like straight up jumps over a railing and like lands in front of her. And I was like, I'm just saying, if Ezran jumped over a railing and landed in front of me, it would have gone differently. Because I was like, that is just so sexy of him personally. And we have this thing that's going on with Dayton and Rosalina. So I know they're mates. This is a why I choose. The authors themselves have said that all 5 princes are her mate, or are her mates. So for some reason, like, Rosalina and Dayton like have sex outside on the bridge of Castle Tree where she met Ezran for the first time, and like nothing happens. And I'm like, okay, so why was the bond so like close to awakening when they were about to do it in the Autumn Realm, but now it's just like not doing anything, like there's no spark or anything? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I still don't know what's going on in Broken by Daylight, and I'm like 350 pages from the end of that book. Still have no idea what's going on with her and Dayton. Kind of starting to piss me off. Rosalina is a little dumb. And I don't know why. I'm pretty sure that she's probably like modeled after like Feyre or something, because Feyre is very stupid in the first Court of Thorns and Roses book. Sorry, she is. She's dumb. But they keep talking about how Kaldarian had one great love that like fucked him up so much that like he doesn't want to mate, he doesn't want to fall in love, like he doesn't want to love Rosalina. Like he loves her against his own will, against his better judgment. And I was like, really, Rosalina? You haven't put it together? Like, I'm the reader and I've put this together. Like, it's Caspian. Like, duh. Caspian and Kaldarian are still head over heels down bad for each other. Like, come on, girl, catch up. Another thing that I didn't really like about this book is, and I know it sounds like I didn't like this book. I did. I think I gave it like a 4 or probably a 5 based on the ending and everything that came out after. But at this point, it was sitting like at a 3 at this point in the book. And you find out, well, this book is supposed to be about Ezra and Rosalina's relationship, and it doesn't really start getting there until the other princes leave. Like, they all go off and do their own things and, like, go on their own missions. Like, when she's alone with Ezra in the Spring Realm, like, that is really when it starts, their relationship starts ramping up and everything. And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be about Ezra and Rosalina. It did not. It didn't. Not until, like I said, until the other princes leave. Rosalina and Ezra in the Spring Realm by themselves. I get so giddy when Dayton mentions the necklace that Farron made him, because he makes it for him in Prince of the Arena. So another reason to read Prince of the Arena is like you find out why Dayton is so attached to his necklace that has his queen's token on it. And it also has a red piece of sea glass, sorry, that Farron and Dayton create with their magic, because like if you heat sand, it turns into sea glass. At least that's what it does in the book. So like Dayton has sand in his hand, and I think he uses like water or air because he's the Summer Prince, so he has dominion over air and water. And then of course Farron is the Autumn Prince, so he has dominion over fire. So they use it to make this red piece of sea glass that he ends up putting on his necklace. So he's very, very protective and attached to his necklace because Farron gave it to him. So I love anytime it gets mentioned about how much he loves his necklace that Farron made him. It's super cute. And then at some point, I was like, did Caspian just like confirm my theory about like their bargain? And he kind of sort of does, but kind of sort of doesn't at the same time. Like he half confirmed my theory that I was like, someone's lying. Someone's lying. I didn't believe like everything that Kaldarian was saying, but then I didn't believe everything that Caspian was saying. I was like, somebody's lying or someone's like telling some half-truths. So I was kind of right. And then Kaldarian kind of has a breeding kink. Almost. Because him and Rosalina, so like the whole point of Kaldarian and Caspian's bargain is that if Kaldarian ever finds pleasure with someone else besides Caspian, that they will be sent to Caspian. And so Ezran basically told him like, dude, you can touch her. Like you can touch her, she just can't touch you. So it was very like Cassian and Nesta, you know the scene from Silver Flames. So I liked that. And he kind of like teases her about like making her round with his child and everything. And I was like, oh, someone's got a breeding kink. So I'm curious to see if Elizabeth Helen will actually go there and like actually have Rosalina like become pregnant with one of the prince's children before the end of the series, kind of again like Silver Flames. I don't know, but wouldn't that be a twist? If like they're going off to war and she finds out that she's pregnant with one of the prince's children, that would just be the drama. I live for the drama. And then you find out that like Farron or Caspian is asking Farron to find a spell to turn him human because he has the power of the green flame and like his mother wants to use it like basically to wage war on the realms and like basically find a way back to the above because she lives in the below, and she lives in the below for a reason that you kind of find out in Broken by Daylight. Like there's a whole like chronology like at the beginning of that book that explains literally everything to you. So I'm not going to explain that here. But yeah, he wants to be human because he knows that his mother is going to use his power to basically take over the entire like enchanted veil and everything. So he's like, Farron, you need to find a way to turn me human, because he's been asking Queen Aurelia, sorry, which you find out is actually, she's alive. It's like, that's the plot twist at the end of the book. So spoiling it a little early, but he's been asking her for years to turn him human and she keeps saying no. And I'm pretty sure I know why. It's because he's Rosalina's mate and everything. I'm pretty sure that's why she's saying no. So Caspian wants to be human. We'll see if anything ever comes from that. And then at one point, like they get back to Castle Tree and like everyone is just like one huge thing of like a huge group, and they're all just arguing and like shouting over each other. And so like Ezrin and Kaldarian are arguing, and then Dayton and Farron are arguing, and then Rosalina throws herself in there and is like defending Caspian, which makes Dayton mad, and it's like they're all arguing and shouting over each other, and then Ezrin literally like steps in the middle and is like, all of you shut the fuck up, you need to like separate yourselves. And I was like, Ezrin literally just told them, all of you need to go to your room. Like, go to your room, calm down, like, we're family, like, this is just gonna tear us apart. We need to band together, because, you know, he's the very righteous, knight-like, chivalrous prince. It's built into his character. But, I mean, he ends up letting go of that later, but we'll get to that in Broken by Daylight. But, yeah, he basically said, all of y'all need to go to your rooms and think about what you've done. And it was hilarious. And then at one point, Ezrin ends up making his brother, Chiron, the steward of spring. And I was like, why do I feel like Ezrin just made a massive mistake? I mean, he does. He did make a massive mistake. But at that point, I was like, oh, this is not gonna end well, because Chiron is very, like, power hungry and, like, wants to be the High Prince of Spring. He does end up being High Prince of Spring, because he, like, forces Ezrin to, like, give him the blessing of spring. That comes later, like, before, because, like, he wants to execute Ezrin and everything for a reason that we'll get to. But yeah. And then Ezrin and Rosalina have their own, like, I love you in the starlight way. So I cannot wait to see, like, what her other thing is with the other princes. Because with Ezrin is, I know you, because she is led basically to the river and is, like, basically drowning. And so he has to rip his helmet, or his helm, they call it his helm, off, and basically give her mouth to mouth and, like, give her the breath of life, which is what he calls it. And so she opens her eyes and he doesn't have his helmet on, and she's like, I know you. And he's like, I know you. So that becomes their thing. That's like their way of saying I love you. So for Farron, it's I love you in the starlight way. And for Ezrin, it's I know you. And I was like, excuse me while I go cry. Because every single time she consummates her bond with, like, one of the princes, like, something really cute and adorable and sweet and stuff like that happens. So I cannot wait to see her with Kaldarian and Caspian and Dayton and everything. It's just so adorable. I love them. And then I was like, I wonder how Dayton is gonna react to her being mated to 3 of 4. Well, 3 out of 4 of the Castle Tree princes, and he doesn't react well. It makes me so sad for him, because at some point he finds Rosalina like in her room with Keldarian and Ezrin. I don't remember if Farron is there. I don't know. It might be Keldarian and Farron. I don't remember. But they're kind of like, come here, Dayton. Like, you're still part of this family. And he's like, no, there's no place for a beast among princes. And I was like, no. I love Dayton so much. And then they end up, like, after Ezrin is de-helmed, he's basically like banished from Spring because he took his helm off, and other people outside of his mate saw his face. So basically he was going to be executed. Chiron decided to have mercy on him and sliced off the tip of his ears. So now his ears are round like a human. And oh my God, I need Elizabeth Helen to fix this, because Rosalina mentions at some point that she wants to heal Ezrin's ears like he healed her arm. And she mentions that like maybe he's not ready to have his scars healed yet. The same way with her. For the longest time, she didn't want anybody to touch her arm where Lucas carved his name in. And that's because she wasn't ready to have those scars taken away. And like Ezrin is at that place right now where she's like, I don't think he would let me, even if I asked him, even if I knew how to use like Spring's healing powers. So I hope that she fixes this and gives him like his beautiful Fae ears back. But knowing Ezrin, he'll probably be like, no, it's fine. I don't need them. I'm still Fae. It doesn't matter that I don't have Fae ears, because again, he's very righteous and knight-like and chivalrous. And I love that about him. And then I also love his very daddy dom. He's a very daddy dom. Side. So I like both sides. I like the soft side and I like the hard side. At some point, she is taken hostage. I forgot to finish my thought from the other one. Farron. That's where I was going with that whole tangent that I just told you. Farron, so they basically like escort Ezrin to the gates, and like all the princes are there, and they turn, and I'm like, where the fuck is Farron? Where's Farron? Like, where's my sweet autumn prince? And I mean, Dayton ends up going back for him. But I was like, why is no one asking where Farron is? Like, guys, go get him. Find him. Going back to what now we're going to move on. So she is taken prisoner by the Nightingale and Chiron. And Ezrin basically like takes it upon himself to kill everybody in this monastery. Like, he leaves the acolytes, but he kills like every single guard, anyone who comes at him, basically. And I was like, that's right, Ezrin, go get your mate and kill everybody in your path. Like, this is when he goes like off the rails. Like, he is unhinged, and I love it. I love it so much. When the Fae male like completely goes like batshit and is like killing everybody in his path to get to his mate. And I'm like, I love this so much. You find out that Rosalina is indeed fairy princess. Yep, she's Queen Aurelia's daughter. So she is basically the princess of the realm, or of the Enchanted Vale. And I was like, yeah, I kind of called that. I called that in book 1. Because Caspian keeps telling her, like, he keeps calling her princess. So he knows who she is, like, when she, like, first finds her way into the Enchanted Vale and he saves her from the goblins. Like, he knows who she is because Queen Aurelia has told him about Rosalina. So he knows who she is when he first meets her. And he knows that she's Keldarian's mate, based on another thing that happens in this book or the next book. I don't know. I'm getting confused because I'm reviewing this one, but then I'm also reading the 4th one right now. So excuse me if I'm all over the place. You should be used to this by now. And then at some point, like when Dayton and Farron And Renly, we'll talk about Renly when we get to the next book. I don't like her. She's one of the acolytes, and she works like underneath Chiron and everything. But they make it out of the city and they go to the meadow where they're supposed to meet Ezra and Kaldarian and Rosalina. And she's standing in a field of flowers, and Dayton whips around and she's got a will-o-wisp, like, you know, clutched to her chest or in her chest. Can't remember how it's described. And like a mating bond lights up between her and Dayton. And I'm like, she's lying. She's lying. This is not true. Because I really don't think Elizabeth Helen would do that to us. Because, again, they've told us that all 5 of the princes, so that's the 4 princes of the castle tree plus Caspian, are her mate. Like, they have said this on their social media. They've said it in interviews and articles and stuff. So Rosalina and Dayton are mates. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way they would do this to us. So Renly's a fucking liar. I have a theory of how it's gonna play out in Broken by Daylight. It's not happened yet. The object is currently a Chekhov's gun, and I am waiting for it to go off. So we'll see if that happens when I get to read later. But yeah, I'm like, she's lying. She's fooling Dayton. I don't know how. Like I said, I have a theory. Excited to see if it's right. It probably is, because the one thing I can always count on for Elizabeth Helen is that, like, are her books predictable? Can you guess some of the plot twists? Yes. The foreshadowing sometimes is very heavy. You can see it coming a mile away. But do I eat it up every time? Yes, I do. So now we're going to talk about the 2 plot twists for the end of this book that will lead us into Broken by Daylight. The first one is Rosalina's father's life is tied to Castle Tree. So if Castle Tree dies, Rosalina's father dies. I was like, why? Why would you do that, Aurelia? To tie your husband's life to the Enchanted Veil. So if you fail the Enchanted Veil, your husband dies. I was like, why would you do that? Which it explains why Caspian is going to such lengths to keep Castle Tree alive. Because if Castle Tree dies, his mate's father dies. And I was just like, why? And then, the second plot twist. She mentions to Caspian, thank you so much for keeping my daughters, plural, daughters, safe. Mind blown. Mind absolutely fucking blown. I was like, what do you mean, daughters? Like, I was reading it and my mom came down the stairs. I didn't know she was down here because I had my noise canceling headphones on. And I was like, daughters? What? What? I was like completely losing my mind. And I look up and she's like standing there staring at me. And I'm like, sorry. She was like, I was wondering who you were talking to. I'm like, I'm just talking to my book. Like a crazy person. So yeah, there are 2 daughters. I have a theory that one of them is the Nightingale because she hates Rosalina for some unknown reason. So I'm wondering if she had the Nightingale before she left the Enchanted Vale and like left her there to be raised by Sira, which is Caspian's mother. Or it's Renly, because Dayton mentions how similar Rosalina and Renly look. And so I don't know which one it is. I keep going back and forth while reading Broken by Daylight. I honestly have no idea. But yeah, that was my incredibly rambly review for Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen, and I will see you guys later.